Hello everyone. I hope you are in the best of health and spirits. If you are watching this video, I'm quite sure that you are looking out for GATE preparation and more specifically for the architecture exam. Today we are going to do exactly that. We are going to introduce you to how we are going to be preparing you for GATE examination, more specifically the GATE examination for the year 24 and 25 basically, because 23 batch is already done. The exam is slated on February 5th, so nothing can be done about this particular year's examination. uh, when we talk about GATE, it is a very vast number of subject covering examination, 29 to be more specific. Architecture is one of them. So most people are from architecture background, but it is also open to there are certain streams which are open to other batches also. So I think we will also have a look at that, because you have two separate papers. I think we will get into the details of it. So before we delve into the details of the GATE examination and whatnot, let us see what we're going to cover broadly in this particular video. We will be talking about the contents of the GATE architecture examination, what all does it consist of, and what are the different weightages that are associated with different examination, what are the different ways with which it could be asked, right? So that is also there, and also in the end we will talk about a sample concept. We will try to understand that, and then we would also take up a few questions to understand the concept, and then a question maybe from the real-time GATE examination paper, so that you understand the whole gist of how things are going to be, and what we are primarily looking at. So this is broadly what we are going to be taking up. Before we start, let me introduce myself to you. I am Ankit Arora, and I am an architect based out of Delhi, with a specialization in building engineering and management from SPA Delhi. I also cleared GATE examination. Paper was different earlier. Let us see what is the pattern of examination for GATE examination for architecture one. When we talk about GATE examination, it is basically a computer based test now, and the duration is 3 hours. As I have already told you that the number of subjects are 29, but in architecture things are a little easy, you can say, in terms of the number of students who are appearing for it, but difficult in terms of the percentage of admissions that happen in a good college with respect to the ranks. So you have to be in the top ranks if you want to go for a very nice and a very reputed and sought after colleges. So this exam is basically consisting of two sections. First is general aptitude. Second is a candidate selected subject, which would be either architecture or planning. You have an option of that. The questions that are there are basically multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions are nothing but questions which have four options, and you have to select a single option. After this, I think they also give you multiple select questions, wherein you may be having more than one option as the correct answer. And ultimately the third and the final one is the numerical ability type questions, where you will have to answer the question in the numerical form. So you won't be given an option to select out of, so you have to arrive at an answer and you have to put it in. So these may become tricky. These questions basically test you for your recall values, how you recall things, how you comprehend things, then how you apply these concepts in solving these questions, and finally they test you on your analytical and synthesizing skills also. So that is important. When we talk about like earlier we were talking about, so last year around 10,000 students appeared for it. 2,500 cracked GATE, and approximately 2.5 2,600 something like that, that was the number. So in terms of the number, you would say that 25% success rate. So वो थोड़ा सा it's a little tricky. Why? Because the number of seats are very less. More specifically, when we talk about IITs and SPAs, number of seats are quite less. जब हम मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चंस की बात करते हैं तो इनको थोड़ा सा आंसर करना ईजी रह जाता है बच्चों के लिए, क्योंकि चारों ऑप्शन है, पता है एक ही आंसर है. So but in other way, if we talk about multiple select questions, they are actually tough to get the hang of. So we will be talking about all these things when we're going to be preparing for these examinations, right? What to attempt, what not to attempt, and most people commit similar mistakes. Examination day phobia is a very very big thing, so no matter how hard you prepare and no matter how well you are prepared, it is the day that matters, and on that particular day you have to answer. So we will also be taking a look at the stress management techniques and time management, how to prepare for examinations. So we will be also talking about all that. uh, Again, there are a lot of topics which are asked in the examination. So we would see the number of questions that are asked in the examination. अगर हम architecture की बात करें, so you have your 10 general aptitude questions and 55 subject based questions. So total number of 65 questions would be asked. If we talk about architecture paper, the distribution of marks is very simple. General aptitude carries 15 marks and subject questions carry 85 marks. So you have an option of appearing for architecture and planning, like I was talking earlier. So we will see the syllabus later on also, what all is asked. When we talk about negative marking, for every wrong answer chosen in MCQ, there will be a negative marking. For 1 mark MCQ, 1/3 will be deducted, and for a 2 mark MCQ, 2/3 will be deducted for a wrong answer. But there is no negative marking for MSQ and NAT questions. So here again the strategy becomes important. So how to deal with these kind of questions, what to attempt, we will be discussing all that, but at a later stage when we are having a certain amount of hours put in the preparation, and when we are up to a level where we can talk about all these things. Because for me, journey is the most important thing, and ideally it should be for you also. If you keep on thinking about the results, it again hampers your preparation. Your attention gets diverted and you are always under a constant pressure. So I don't want that. So iske andar, if we see that there are different types of questions which are there. So if you are prepared well, if your basics are clear, and if your fundamentals are thorough, I don't think there should be any problem. Why? Because I like to get into as much depth of the topic as possible. Because if your fundamentals are clear, your recall value increases. But we have to somewhere draw a line, because we don't have an unending amount of time. So we also have to see that what is more exam specific and how we are going to go about our preparation. So it should not be like that we are constantly getting into the nooks and crannies of the codes and everything. So that also should not happen. So let us have a look at the syllabus. In the first section, general aptitude, like we were discussing, you have a number of topics. So there is spatial aptitude, analytical aptitude, you have verbal aptitude and quantitative aptitude. So spatial aptitude will test you on transformation of spaces and questions like that. We would also try to take up a topic. I think at the beginning of the preparation, what we take up is what we're going to take up today. So analytical will deal with your logic deductions and analogies and reasonings and everything, which you are already aware of. Verbal, obviously basic English grammar, tenses, articles, adjectives, prepositions, conjunctions, all these things, and idioms, phrases, synonyms, antonyms, so like that. Then you have reading and comprehension skills also are tested, so you have to give a good amount of focus on that. Then ultimately quantitative aptitude, where you will be having data interpretation, data graphs, pie charts, and plots, maps, tables, and percentages, basic 10th 12th level questions. Elementary statistics, obviously the word is very important here. When we talk about elementary, so these questions are not going to be very 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 difficult, but obviously you need to have basic knowledge to attempt these correctly and accurately, so that you do not commit any mistakes. General aptitude is basically for everyone, and they test you on your basic human skills that you are able to comprehend well and all that. So that is as far as your general aptitude is concerned. When we talk about architecture and planning, it is divided into 3 sections. Part A is common. Part B is divided into 2 parts, architecture and planning. So part A, common, deals with your architecture, planning and design. So in this section, basically your architectural skills and your visualization skills and your computer skills, knowledge of computer skills, I would be more specific here. So circulation, how that needs to be in the architecture, building and bylaws and everything, codes and standards. So that is important here. Section 2 deals with your construction and management, Here we'll be talking about PERT, CPM, project management techniques, then principles of disaster resistant structures as well, and related to structure. And the third section here is environmental planning and design. So in that, you will be having natural and man-made ecosystem, ecological principles. So this is something which is very important for you to understand, that every question you will be getting into the details of it. So that happens. जब बात करते हैं architecture की, when we talk about architecture, so you have your different topics where you have to put in emphasis, whether it is your visual composition and your PERT CPMs, your environment planning and designs. I think all these topics are quite important, and I think most of the people who have done architecture are aware of these topics, right? Let us get into the more details of it. Section 4 deals with your urban design, landscape and conservation. It will encompass everything ranging from your historical and modern examples of urban design and like that. So when we talk about urban design, so it will be considering the different streams that are there. So different streams as in urban design streams, and skills which are they are testing you for example, let's say if you choose for urban design, so that is there. Then ultimately you will be having a good amount of basic testing on your planning processes, so salient concepts and theories and everything. So that is also there. Then URDPFI guidelines and whatnot. So all that is what you're tested on. Then I think let's move further. Housing, service infrastructure, and these are the two topics that are there in the common part. So housing typology. So if you choose for any masters, so it is encompassing almost every topic which is there for your masters. So they are trying to test you basically. Then part B1 deals with your architecture. History is one of the important topics here. So Byzantine, Gothic, Renaissance, Baroque, Rococo. I think most of you have heard about this. If anybody is new to this, then I think we would obviously get into the details of it. We would also be looking very keenly and more specifically from a point of view of the GATE examination, how they are asked. Again, these topics are like very in depth, and you have to go through the drill so that your understanding becomes clear and you are okay with it. Then the next topics that could be asked in the examination are building construction and structural systems, and building services and sustainability. So building construction techniques, what all is there, we are already aware about that. When we talk about planning, you have your regional settlement planning, planning techniques and management, infrastructure planning. So all that is there. I mean, these are the new topics for you, obviously, for the architecture students. If somebody is going to opt for planning, if you are from the planning background, then I think things become very easy because you are already aware of these topics. So regional delineation, settlement hierarchy in regional and settlement planning, TOT, SEZ. So basic terminologies, very basic questions, but sometimes difficulty increases, and they ask you questions very in the depth of the topics. For example, GIS and remote sensing. So what is active, passive, sensing technique? What are the different, Panchayat Raj institutions, planning legislations, and Land Acquisition Act. So basically, it is related to your planning techniques and management. And then you have your infrastructure planning, where you will be talking about traffic engineering more specifically. So what is route capacity? How travel demand forecasting is calculated. So there are certain numericals also that are asked. So it will test you on varied levels, and typologies, that how your decision support system is, and like that. So you have to be like very specific about these topics, and if you know certain questions beforehand, that makes it very easier. But if you are aware of a topic, then I think it should not be a problem. So let us now take up a topic. So spatial aptitude, it is usually referred to as 3D visualization also. We call it as spatial analysis also. 3D visualization is something which most architects know, and most designers also are aware of. But still, if your fundas are not clear, lifelong it's a problem. So 3D, what exactly is a 3D, and what exactly is visualization? Because this is made up of two words. So we will look at that, and we will try to understand how we are applying this concept in architecture more specifically, and what exactly is spatial analysis, how it is useful for us as an architect, and how we are going to be doing things pertaining to this. and how it is tested in the examination. That again becomes very important for us because our focus has to be gate. So we cannot, diverge from this thing. So we have to be focused. I think this topic we have already taken up. But let us understand what is space first of all. Thoda sa, if you have any problem in understanding, so I think that should not be a problem. So you have your horizontal planes, and vertical planes. Without any enclosure, see, space does not have any meaning. So you have your sun, you have your moon, you have your planets and everything. So that is also space, but that is not usable space, right? To make a space usable for humans more specifically, so you have constructed buildings now. So you are aware of these planes which are there. So ultimately, these all enclosures encompass a space, and you can bifurcate any 3D object or 3D space on this planet into vertical and horizontal planes. So these planes are nothing but imaginary planes when they are not existing, but you are just assuming for the sake of understanding. 3D क्या होता है, space का बात कर लिया, we have understood what space is. So let us talk about what 3D is now. So 3D is basically an object which is having 3 axes, right? And these 3 axes are very important for it to be defined. So in any space, if they are there, so you have x, y, and z coordinate for it to be located, right? And then there is a dimension to it for a 3D object. So you have your 2D objects also. So 2D to 3D we are going to be talking about, and 3D to 2D also. So I have just taken this as an example, like I can represent space like this also. So horizontal plane is there, vertical plane is there, and sometimes we call the vertical plane as auxiliary plane also, like not the everyone, but again the plane that is usually required the least. So why we call it as auxiliary plane, we will just see. So there are certain methods. So first, second, third, fourth quadrant are there. This process is known as orthographic projections, and we primarily talk about and use first and third angle projections. So second and fourth is negative quadrant, so we usually don't take up that. Let us see what exactly is this visualization thing, and why are we doing and studying this. Auxiliary plane is mostly not required because you already have your 3 dimensions in vertical and horizontal planes. So if you can see it in the image, you have an object lying in a space, and observer is also observing this particular thing. So for any space visualization process, you need 3 things: observer, object, and environment. So we have all 3 here. So when the observer is observing from the front, you get a front elevation. So you just click it like a photograph. So on the vertical plane, you'll get the front. Then from the top view, if you see, that will be imprinted on horizontal plane below, right? And auxiliary plane, obviously, you are seeing that the side view is there. But if you have 3 dimensions, you will be able to decipher that without using any plane and any photography. I mean, that's a concept. So this is how it is basically. What is its usage? We will just see in a moment. So there could be certain questions that could be asked wherein you are supposed to draw the front, top, side view in an examination. Basically identify, not draw, because they won't ask you to draw in the examination. So if you are aware of how it is drawn, then I think the recall value is much more, and you understand how things are. So basically, you have your x and y, again z axes which are there. So if these coordinates are known, and if you are aware of this, I mean, don't think it in terms of the mathematics. It is purely logic, and you have to just visualize, and it increases your observation power. It increases your visualization skills and whatnot. So that is very helpful for you as an academic. That is why they are testing you on that. Let us also understand that there are certain questions like folded figures and all that could be asked. So I think on the slide you can see this particular image, because see, I mean, this makes for an interesting study. Most people tend to commit mistakes in these questions. I mean, in your architecture also, you must have done before architecture in NATA and all, you must have also answered this. So this is what we were talking about, right? So if you have your x and y dimension in the front view on vertical plane, so you have that projection going down till horizontal plane. So you have x dimension coming from the vertical plane, so that is coming from the front, and z dimension right? So 2 views, if you are aware of, you are getting all the dimensions. All you need to do is project and get the third view. So this is an example of the kind of question that may be asked in the examination. You may be given an object and you have to identify different views and we will take up a specific question from gate examination before we end this session. I think by now you are quite aware of how things work out in the gate examination. This was the whole idea. So इसको क्या करना है? What you have to do is basically you have to identify the easiest of the views. So whatever comes easy to you, you just identify that. So I mean, in the front view, you see there are certain things that are visible. So let us see what all is visible in the front view. So what you can see basically, if you were here, so we would have interacted because I like my classes to be interactive, which is more fun than a boring monologue. So you have your rectangular visibles, in the front view. Then you have a pyramidal kind of a structure which is happening, like I marked, on the screen. So that is what is drawn in the front view. So if you are given something other than this, you do not have to select that. Then see the rectangles, how they are appearing in this particular view. So I think most people forget the upper part. Many people don't think of the tilt, how it will be visible, so they draw tilted lines and everything. So that should not happen. Then accordingly, you see how you will draw top view using those projections. So the top line, if you see, so that line will be projected below. And when we talk about top view, we will see how different other questions are also asked. So this is another example of the kind of question that could be asked. So there could be counting cube question. So people call it as counting cube, but I again will repeat that this is a visualization question. If you visualize it well, then I think it makes it very easier for you to calculate this thing. If you get into the calculations, because sometimes things will be very difficult, because a difficult block could be there. So in this directly you can see 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So you will mostly count like this. Many people do that. But if you are having the knowledge of this particular topic, then that should not be a problem for you. So let's see how we do it. We will talk about two ways with which we can easily calculate this thing. So the first method that I use is basically the level method. So like on the level 1, how many cubes are there? Level 2, how many cubes are there? Level 3, how many cubes are there? For example, this is a 3-level questions, right? So there could be a question wherein 10 levels would be there. But that depends on the difficulty. So if we are supposed to calculate this, how we are going to calculate this? So 3 by 3 base is basically 3 by 3, right? And the upper portion is 2 by 2. So 2 into 2, 4, right? And the top one is 1. So 1, 2 and 3, right? Which we already talked about. So 3 by 3 becomes 9, right? Then upper level is again 4, 2 by 2, and this is 1. So the answer would be 9 plus 4 plus 1. So that will give you 14, right? So this is one method to arrive at an answer. But there could be another way with which we can solve this. Another way is basically counting level wise. Like this is the base level wise. That is how high a particular tower is, right? So 1, 2, 3. These are all having one height, right? One cube height. So you will calculate this 5. Then you have 2 into 4. So that would be your 8, and the upper one is 1. So ultimately if you were not doing this, then you would have taken 4, but in this particular method you will take 1. So 5 plus 8 plus 1, so the answer again is 14. So I think you have got a fair amount of idea what is asked in the examination. Let us now also take up a question which is more specific to your gate architecture examination, the real-time question that was asked in the previous year examination, which will give you a better understanding of how things are going to be, right? All right. So as far as the concept is concerned, that is done, right? So now let us take up a real-time gate question also. So in gate paper 2022, this question was asked. It says that a block with trapezoidal cross section is placed over a block with rectangular cross section as shown above. It is asking which one of the following is the correct drawing of the view of the 3D object as viewed in the direction indicated by an arrow in the above figure. So you see, when you see this object, you get a different impression in your mind. But if your understanding is clear, then I think it is very easy for you to solve. So let us have a look at the options which are given in this particular question. We talk about this particular question. So there are 4 options which are there, right? So everything is not possible as far as this question is concerned. So you have to see how you comprehend. So if you again look at back to the object that was given to you, so you have these parallel lines which you can see, right, at the corners. These are the lines that I'm talking about, this one and this one and this one. So all these are parallel, so they have to be straight, and this one is an inclined line. So you have to be very specific. So basically, after you have comprehended this, what you will visualize is basically this particular, rectangular will be there, and then there will be a trapezoidal figure which will be inclined on your left side, right? And the right side would be straight and parallel to this. So in which of these options, can you see the correct, formation? So let us have a look at this. If you see in this particular question and the options that are given to it, so there is only possibility of two options having the correct answer, because this is only one level. The D1 would be rejected on the fact that there is no upper portion, so this will be rejected, right? So through process of elimination you can also do this, but again it is better if do it with a different mindset, where you have to prepare well and you have to do the correct answer. So I usually avoid this process of elimination. I only keep it for questions where you are stuck. So that happens, right? So that is how it is. And when we are talking about this particular question, so let us see what would be the correct answer as far as this question is concerned. So I think by now you all have guessed. So again, here is a problem, that line has to be straight, which we had talked about earlier. So this again will go off, I'm just telling you why other options are incorrect, because I think by now you have understood. So this line is not there in this particular question. So this again will go off. So this would be the correct answer. So answer correct is A. Let us, again go back to what we are, discussing through the question. So I think let us just see once more. Just see, if you see this particular block, one rectangle will be at the bottom and then one will trapezoidal figure. So in A it correlates very well, right? So this is what you have to do, and I think this is more than enough for today's session. I hope you have got an idea, and let's see how we're going to go about our gate preparation. We will be talking about everything from the content to the exam preparation to the examination day, and post that also. Sometimes many students do ask me what to go for and what not, so why not? So wish you all the best, and hope to see you soon. Good luck.